Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. We got the return of Madison here.
Return of the Mad.
I'll be back. We'll see how long this lasts, but so far, week 1, 2, I wasn't told last week that they were recording when they were, so that wasn't my fault.
Yeah, I've been trying to avoid you for all these weeks.
I know you have.
We're slotting you back into the middle as well. You've got the prime spot there in between us.
Feeling the pressure. Good thing I actually watched the game this weekend, right?
I'm sure the comments will let you know if you get any details wrong.
I will.
So we got a busy episode this week. We're going to briefly recap the Berlusconi Trophy against Monza, which was Paulo Fonseca's first bit of silverware. Yeah, absolutely counts. We're going to take that to the bank and cash it in. The first game of the season against Torino, also at San Siro. And then we've got a game to preview away against newly promoted Parma. But before we dive into this week's episode, we want to say thank you to all of our founding members on Substack. Roberto Racinos, Marco Vilella, Tarek, JT Physio, Mike Schulz, Heavenly 13, Derek Favretto, Merlin, Nasser, Carlo Fassi, Rajat, Raul Escobar, Luke Villano, Mats, MJ Kemin, Joey Gawler, Moritz Pullman, Tito Mack, and Des Windsor McGlynn. Maddie, last time you were on, how long was that list?
I wasn't paying attention this time either, so I don't know. No, I'm just joking. I want to say it was like 4 or 5 people. How long is it now?
That must be like 22 names.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were like saying first and last names, because you were just going.
Yeah. Some are first, some it depends what they put when they sign up. But some were both names, and it's about 22 names. I think 21 names there, which is good. Said before the start of the new season, can we get it over 20? And we did. So thank you to everybody who has been. Oh, there's a cat meowing. That's.
Oh my god! Don't even. I literally fed this cat, and I texted you guys. I'm going to feed the cats so they don't make me want to kill them. And it is literally sounding like it's dying outside the door.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds like someone's trapped in the basement.
No, just a cat who's hungry.
A cat being forced to watch Malik Chow highlights. Anyway, over on the Substack, we did a deep dive, or Isaac did a deep dive, I should say, into the rising domestic deals with the abolition of the growth decree. And the idea of selling players on for capital gains, something that Milan will be looking to exploit with the Futuro project. Our bonus podcast was a deep dive on Emerson Royale, who became the third summer signing, and this week's is going to be one on Yusuf Fofana, so stay tuned for that. We've also got a live blog going, which recaps all of the official business that we've done. So if you're looking for a breakdown of the sales, the loan exits, and of course the signings, that's there. And then we also did something which was a look into the financial impact of Kalulu's potential move to Juventus. Now, that's kind of hit the brakes a little bit, but still good to read as an example for how much we could earn from that kind of operation based on whatever formula it is. All right, let's go for the Monza game then. We'll do this briefly. It was the final pre-season game, Silvio Berlusconi Trophy, which we won at the U-Power Stadium last season. This season, we obviously had the chance to retain it, and we did. We won 3-1. The goals came from Alexis Salamakers, a Rabona that deflected, so it took a little bit of the shine off it, but still, it was a Rabona from him. The second goal was a Luka Jovic tap-in from a rebound that he nearly put over the bar from about 3 or 4 yards out, but he put it in off the bar, so it counts. And then Tijani Reinders got a goal as well. Yeah,
and it was a long-range goal, right?
Yes, it was. It was a layoff from Teo from a free kick, 25-yarder, absolute missile. I think their keeper might have wanted to do better, given it was on his side, but pure power beat him into the top corner. We were 1-0 up in the first half with that Salamakers goal, and Daniel Maldini, of all people, equalised. It was like a cutback from the right side. And
did he celebrate?
Not really. He just had a bit of a smile on his face. I kind of hoped he'd go mental, to be honest, because like, you sacked my dad and you got rid of me, so he should have gone over to the directors and started middle fingering him. But yeah, it was all right. Job done, I guess. And nice.
This is where Jovic and Salamakers earned their starting spot this weekend, right?
Seems so.
Yeah. Honestly, I remember the Salamakers Rabona. And I remember the Reinders long-range goal, and that's it. I don't remember anything else. But in my defense, as you all saw last Monday, I was very dead from COVID. I was on the couch watching it, but I was.
Is that
I was
that
feeling
fake
bad.
flu?
Yeah, that's the one. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. I had that too a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's a little nose bug, right?
The vid.
Yeah.
The vid.
Uh,
Yeah, not
anyways, I
loads
have
happened.
nothing to say about Monza.
There wasn't a lot that happened, to be honest. I tell you what, the strangest thing about it was like the entire build-up suggesting that we were going to basically play our first team, including the new signings. So that seems like a big risk, given it's the Tuesday and we open the season on the Saturday. There's not much time for recovery, and we've been doing double sessions and stuff like that. But yeah, the team was Calabria, Chao, Gabbia, Terracciano, Musa, Adley, Salamanca's RLC, and then he picked Leao and Morata anyway. I guess they need minutes from the start to get back up to match fitness, but it was a bit strange how he sort of said to all the starters, you guys can have a bit of extra rest, but Leao and Morata, we're going to need you. First half was pretty poor, to be honest. We gave up a lot of chances after going a goal up, and Monza could have easily had the lead. Second half was a bit better. Subs kind of changed the game, and Monza also looked tired by the end, so it could have been a bigger margin. There just wasn't much to take from it. I think, as Maddie said there, Salamanca's and Jovic scoring to prove that they can at the very least be decent depth options, although we'll come on to what happened in their starts against Torino. The balance not being good, allowing too many chances in transition again. But ultimately, it's pre-season, and the most important thing was the fitness, and it was just nice to get the win. Should we just move on then?
Yep. All right.
Calabria hoisting a trophy, by the way. There's a
And
photo
pissing
there.
off Chukwueze.
Pissing.
Was it
Yeah.
Calabria?
Oh no,
Pissed him
No, that
off?
was
Benacer.
Benacer and Salmakers, yeah.
Benacer grabbed his locks there and gave him a good old tug.
Reached behind his own head and did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite funny, but also he took it very seriously.
Yeah, he looked pissed.
He did not like it. Must have been a bit too firm, That was probably the main thing to happen, actually. The new signings being presented was something as well. Like they had Emerson, Morata, and Pavlovic come out before the game in like a smoke screen type thing, which generated some very cool looking photos. That's it, though. There was over. I think the crowd was over 50,000.
Yeah,
which is really good for any.
Well, they
kind
want
of
to see our
game.
first trophy for the next, however long.
Our last. Anyway, on to Torino. So the warning signs were probably there for this one when the starting lineup was announced. We did our preview, obviously, on last week's episode. We predicted that he wouldn't really mess around that much with the starting lineup, and that there'd be a little bit of rotation against Monza so that we could have all the starters fit and ready for this one. And this thing about how they've put up a wall around Milanello to make sure that none of the journalists, in theory, know which team we're going to suggest. Well, it worked, because when the team was announced, we had Tamarian Chao at centre-back, Calabria right-back, Mignan in goal, Salamanca's at left-back, RLC and Benacer as the double pivot, Chukwueze, Pulisic and Leao as the attacking trident behind Jovic. Salamanca's and Jovic, the rogue shouts there, I thought.
Yeah,
I'll say... Sorry, go.
Oh, sorry, I'm not
you have to get used to having a third person. I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think Jovic was that crazy. I think...
No.
He had mentioned, Fonseca had mentioned something like, oh, I'm really happy with Jovic. Like, he just was given the 9, so figured he was going to have a role. And then Morata, obviously, only playing half of the Monza game. Probably not full fitness, just arriving. Same with Pavlovic, just not starting at all or not playing at all. I kind of figured that was the case. So Jovic shouldn't catch me off guard too much. I don't think anyone saw Salmakers on the left, nor did he. I think Alexis was even shocked by it. Definitely his performance. I mean, the irony is if you go to FOTMOB, he had the best score in the defense.
Which is shocking.
Yeah, because he clearly wasn't. So,
Well, how much of that was defense and how much of it was when he got pushed up the field?
That's true.
Yeah,
That's very true. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
He played 3 positions in the game. You know, he started left
Mhm.
back and then got moved to both wings.
I thought he got moved to right back and then right wing.
Moved to right. Yeah, sorry, moved to the right and then further up. But
It's nice to have a player who can like willingly move on the field, but you want them to not start.
Yeah, I just think back to the Barinis, the Emmanuelsons, the Krunic.
Okay, don't put Barini in the same category. Barini actually like did things and scored goals.
Barini was good.
Well, I mean,
Right.
scored goals, but it's
Now's
the
a
same
good time.
mold. Go ahead.
Now's a good time to bring this up because newspaper in Italy, Il Giornale, did something this morning where they basically said that Fonseca fell into the same traps as Marco Giampaolo did on his debut, where he didn't play round pegs in round holes. He didn't put out the best lineup that he could have done. He tried to be a bit too smart with it, basically. Of course, we'll never know what percentage fitness, these international players were at and the new signings and stuff. And we have highlighted in the past that coaches tend to, for the first few games, pick the team that they've had pick the group that they've had the longest time to work with, and that proved to be the case. But in that first game that Giampaolo took charge of, it was a 1-0 defeat away against Udinese, where we were absolutely awful. He picked a midfield 3 of Barini, Çalhanoğlu, and Paqueta. Suso played as the number 10, and Castillejo was up front with Piontek. So there were players.
That lineup sounds horrible.
It was. It didn't go very well. We lost 1-0, and I don't think we had a shot on target. It was like that bad. It wasn't that bad, shall we say, the Fonseca debut. But yeah, this idea that he'd never even tested Salamanca as a left back in pre-season. It had been Terracciano, much to our despair. We'd have probably moaned if it had been Terracciano as well, and he was realistically the only option because Jimenez had a slight knock and couldn't play. So yeah, that was maybe it. But I guess like 70 minutes into this game, as John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John sang, "Summer Dreams Ripped at the Seams," because all that pre-season hype that we had with the wins over Man City, Real Madrid and Barcelona and beating Monza evaporated into thin air when Duvan Zapata scored a header to put them 2-0 up, and we looked like we were staring down the barrel of an embarrassing defeat.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
But we didn't.
It was still pretty embarrassing, though.
Yeah, I think it's important to frame that moment, though.
Don't know how that own goal was an own goal on Shaw. I didn't see it go off him. It looked like he kicked it out. Did it hit off his head? I thought it went in.
Oh, you're going to get roasted in the comments.
No, I thought it went off to Mori.
No, it hit the post, rolled along the line. Chow handles it with his left foot by pushing to his right foot, which was inside the goal.
Oh.
It was the most avoidable own goal. All he had to do was just clear it. It was right at him, just kick it away. Instead, he decided to take a touch and push it into the goal.
Nearly got a reprieve as well.
I'll be here next week.
Yeah, this is first and last comeback episode. He nearly got a reprieve as well because the goal line technology fucked up. But then they decided to use VAR anyway. And you know what? If it were us, we'd want that goal. So they reached the right decision. It was clearly over the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why he thinks he has time to take a touch. And the thing is, he gets his foot behind the ball enough to just lace it. That kind of goal going in is inexcusable. Unfortunately, it was the first it wasn't even the first. There was others before that, but it was just a catalogue of errors from Chow. You can say, okay, the cross came in too easily from the right side, and Calabria deserves some stick for that. I've seen people defending Salamanca's for his performance, and I think he was not necessarily put in a position to succeed either, but just in that moment, you could see exactly why he should not be playing anywhere near left back. Bellanova absolutely dominated him in the air to win that header, and
which moment are you talking about?
For the first goal.
Oh,
when the cross comes over from the right, it's Salamanca's v Bellanova at the far post, and Bellanova easily beats him in the air to head it in off the far post, and that's when Chow fails to clear it. It's just one of them. He got beat, and that's why he's not a fullback.
No, I mean, yeah, but I still. You blame Chow for that one. I don't blame Salamanca.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Didn't go in. He could have just cleared it. In fact, I blame him for the second goal as well. If you rewatch it, yeah, Calabria gets beat on the cross, but you see Chow right in front of Zapata, Teo right behind Zapata, and when the ball's going in, like in a cross, you're defending your own goal. You know that the attacker is going to go towards goal. He's not going to go away, and yet Chow steps backwards towards his own goal, obviously, or I'm sorry, towards their goal, away from where Zapata's going to go. He just lets him get past him completely unmarked. And Teo's behind him, so he can't jump over the dude. Like, it's not going to make a difference. So
maybe he has depth perception issues. And he
maybe
just needs contacts.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Well,
bring in Pavlovic.
when he came back from injury, when he came back from injury last season, obviously been out for quite a while. We said he's going to be rusty. You know, we need to kind of account for there being some errors in there, especially when everyone else in the defense was making them. There was a couple of like really baffling things that he did. One where he gave away a penalty, having chopped a man down, or like he failed to tackle the ball basically, and the player could have gone down, and then he decided to wait a couple of seconds and have another dig at him, and then he went down, and it was a penalty. And yeah, there were a couple of other, bad individual mistakes that he made. He just isn't playing with any confidence at the moment. And I think that, beyond Salamanca's playing, beyond Jovic starting, which we kind of expected, beyond RLC starting in the double pivot and things like that, I think Matteo Gabbia should be knocking on Fonseca's door and saying, like, what the fuck? I was really good second half of last season. You didn't give me much of a look in preseason. You keep playing this injury-prone guy. And also, we need to ask questions about the club's decision to so readily offload Pierre Kalulu. Like, it's been made very clear that we don't see him as a part of our plans. And yet we are going to keep hold of a player who apparently Newcastle were interested in and we're going to offer over 30 million for, That's the kind of thing that should come under scrutiny, because at the moment it appears that we've kept the worst defender. But Kalulu made his errors too last season. So
I mean, I feel like before their injuries, they were both very good, right? So maybe they just see more in Cha than Kalulu.
He's a little bit younger,
Yeah, and like we don't know on like the health side what their body shows, whatever, more prone to injury or.
Yeah, because Kalulu had the long-term injury last season, and then he came back and he got injured again with another one that kept him out for a few weeks. So maybe they're like, this guy's body seems to be busted now. But yeah, I mean, everyone in the centre-back department, aside from Gabbia, went down with some kind of injury last season. That was just the whole collective. In fact, actually, Tomori wasn't that bad. He was shaky at times, but he was nowhere near as bad as his centre-back partner and as Calabria. So he probably gets the passing grade. And I guess
when he's surrounded by those three, though, it's you have good people. You have people to make you look good.
In Chow's defense, he also did have to switch center-back sides with Tomori. Like, Tomori typically plays on the left, and Chow was on the left. And then obviously having Salmakers as your left back partner is going to make it a bit more difficult for him as well. But I mean, the mistakes he made that led to goals had nothing to do with switching sides or his fullback partner, So it's still on him, but he does get a little bit of leeway just because it was technically a new position.
Yes, yeah. In terms of what happened after we went a goal down, I mean, they could have gone 2-0 up. Maignan made a fantastic save to deny Zapata header from a corner, and then he made another one from a cutback. We missed a big chance, or should I say Leao missed a big chance. It was a corner, we broke away. Loftus-Cheek played a brilliant through ball, which should have been an assist. Leao brushed off the challenge. I think he could have gone down and drawn a red card there with that. Some will say it was smart centre-back play because he ran across him and therefore the referee might not have given it, but I think there was enough contact for him to go down and it would have drawn a red card. However, as we'd kind of want as football fans, he stayed on his feet. He carried on with the chance. And I think he tried to outfox Milinkovic-Savic in the Torino goal a little bit. He went for that, as it's been trademarked, the Mbappe finish, where you sort of give the eyes that you're going to go near post and then you just roll it past them to the far post. But Milinkovic-Savic just saw exactly what he was going to do, and it ended up being a really easy save. You got to wonder, should he have just hit it harder? Should he have tried to round Milinkovic-Savic, who at this point is old and not particularly mobile? I think there were other things he could have done to try and turn that into a goal. But I'm not going to hammer into Leao because I think the entire forward group didn't really click. And if anything, he looked like the most dynamic. And people are once again lazily criticising his work rate. I thought he busted a gut. I thought he helped out at both ends, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just a shame because that would have been a good way to start the season for him.
Yeah, and it wasn't his first opportunity in the game either. He had another one right in front of the goalkeeper, closer to the goal than the penalty box. I don't know how far we want to call it, but it like bounced in towards him or something like that, and he was kind of halfway turned, so he had to lean back to do it. And when you lean back, obviously the ball goes high, and so it just barely went over the bar. But I mean, very close. It should have been another goal there. He had quite a few opportunities. I mean, you had mentioned this in the chat, but it was so obvious that Fonseca told him to shoot more. He's was shooting just about every opportunity he had, which I'm happy with.
He needs to be more selfish.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like he did not take as many shots.
Yeah. There was another opportunity in the second half before their second goal when I don't remember the player, but it was one of the Torino players made a mistake, and Pulisic grabbed the ball inside their own box and got around Milinkovic-Savic, but he should have just squared it to Jovic, who was open in the middle, but he didn't. He tried to take it himself, and then, of course, it was too far wide. Who else had a good shot? Chukwueze cut inside. I think it was the end of the first half. Long range effort, just barely wide. Like, we had opportunities. It wasn't like we just were getting shut down. We just couldn't find the back of the net. I think our finishing was what let us down for the most part. Obviously, we came back for the 2-2, but there were plenty of opportunities for it to have been 3-2 or 3-1 or something. Like we could have done better on a different day. We don't concede either of those goals, and we score a few more.
You guys think Chukwueze could play down the middle instead of Pulisic?
I don't know if he could.
I think Pulisic is more two-footed, which I would prefer. Chukwueze is very, very left-footed, so that might. I don't know. I'd like those three to be kind of interchangeable in a way, but then also,
I don't want Leo down the middle.
No. But this inverted wingers thing is kind of doing my head in a bit as well. Like this trend with football where you have to play on the opposite side to what your foot is. So, for example, Leao is obviously right-footed. He plays on the left. I think it just makes it so easy to read what players are going to do. We saw it in the first half. It wasn't a big chance, but Leao cut in onto his right foot and he let off a shot that was really weak and rolled into Milinkovic-Savic's arms. Like, if you're gonna lean on that being our game breaker and that being our main attacking threat, which we all know that he is, he is the box office player, the one that makes the difference. It needs to turn into goals more, Otherwise, it just looks like we're a bit one-dimensional. And there were certainly times in the first half and in the second half when we were trying to get back into the game where the very obvious strategy was just to get the ball wide, get that player, Chukwueze or Leao, to cut inside and just curl an in-swinging cross. And most of the time, it hit the first man or it sailed over everybody's head. Like, we reverted a little bit. Please don't roast me in the comments for this, but we reverted a little bit to Pioli ball at certain times during this game. It just didn't click. We were behind. We panicked. And then the thing that I found most distressing from the game was the way that we conceded that second goal, the one that ultimately should have been the one that won the game for Torino, but they just didn't manage things very well. They weren't even really trying to attack that much at that point. They were happy to sit in and contain and try and pick us off. And they did pick us off with basically their only decent chance of the second half. Good bit of work down our right side, their left. Cross. Zapata has the freedom of San Siro to head that ball in. As you highlighted earlier, AJ, it was a misunderstanding between Chiao and Teo about who should be picking him up and who should be picking Ricky up, who was the trailing midfielder arriving. Ricky was going to be nowhere near heading that ball in. And also, if you're Chiao, you say, that wasn't my man. I'm marking the centre forward. That's my job. And yeah, he ends up nestling between them and he has like 5 yards of space to nod it past Maignan. Maignan, rightly, looked really pissed off after that goal went in. He's like, "Where's my help? I've kept us in this game, and you allow that." It was really bad. It was bad, and
Maignan did make a couple great saves.
He did.
was the only. Yeah, I think he was the only one of the starting 11 who you could point at and say they were good. They were above par. You know, like a 6.5, 7 out of 10. Don't think he could have done much about either goal. And yeah, that second goal went in. San Siro was like stunned into silence at that point. I thought, wow, we really are going to follow up into dropping points with losing in Fonseca's debut at home against another team with a new head coach who were like trying to figure stuff out. I think I will say this before we move on to the positives. I think you got to give credit to Torino as well. Paolo Vanoli was the head coach of Venezia last season, and he got them promoted, and he jumped to take the bigger job to replace Ivan Juric. They came with a game plan and they executed it really well. And at times they kept the ball from us. And a lot was said in pre-season about Fonseca and possession-based domination and trying to play like Spain at the Euros, stuff like that. There was only one team that was possession dominant in that game, and it wasn't us. You know, they had us chasing shadows. I know we have more possession, but I think, it's situational. No, like when we were 1-0 down, when we were 2-0 down, we were chasing the ball. And then when they went 2-0 up, we camped in their half because they committed everyone into the box. That's the only reason we had more possession.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the stats now. We had better percentages for every duel stat: duels won, ground duels, aerials, successful dribbles. Defense, we were better on tackles, interceptions. They had more keeper saves, shocker. More clearances, more blocks, which just means we were attacking more. We had way more touches in their box, 41 compared to their 8. We had more accurate crosses, more touches in the opposition half, more accurate passes, more total passes. Our XG was better than everything. More shots outside the box, more shots inside the box, way more block shots.
I think, last season we had trouble scoring, right? We weren't like dynamic enough, and it just showed the same exact thing.
Yeah, I mean, we had 26 shots to their 7. Like, basically,
we should have scored 2 goals. They should not have scored 2. Well, one of them was
they should have
gifted, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I'd argue both of them.
We should have had more. Like Leao had the one-on-one chance. I feel like we hit the post once. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't
know. Like last season,
we may have been offsides.
Last season, there was an offside goal
which was
from
way
Morata.
offside. I mean,
right.
And the penalty shout that got overturned. I mean, I didn't think it was a penalty. So I did. And then the first replay, I was like, oh, he gets the ball. So the ref made all the right calls. I have no arguments with that. But the point is, we had the opportunities and we should have won, especially knowing how their goals went in. I don't think Torino outplayed us. I think we were just victims of our own follies. I mean, it was basically.
Yeah, it's the first competitive game under a new coach. Like, get the heebie-jeebies out.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, and also you've got to factor in that, like, of that starting 11 that he named for that, there's potential for 6 players to change, either by the Parma game or the one after that. You got to think Emerson will come in if Calabria keeps having stinkers. Pavlovic into the defense. Teo will come in. Reinders, Fofana, and then Morata up front. All of a sudden, the entire team has changed, and we look a lot better. Like, I guess contextually, when you consider Inter, the runaway leaders last year, also dropped points. This is after the major tournaments as well that have happened. This is that part of the season where you are going to see some more like. Not experimental, but I guess patchwork lineups where you're just playing your fittest team rather than the best team. But yeah, I mean, 26 shots to 7. We doubled their shots on target. We had 9 corners to their 2, 3 big chances to their 1, 1.86 XG to 1.01. The stats suggest that we should have won the game still. And that brings us on to the positive, really, which was the absolute siege that we put them under for the last 10, 15 minutes of the game, which was enough for us to come away thinking, yeah, we've deserved at least a point, when I was ready to put everyone in the dock and say that was fucking shameful, blah, blah, blah. Morata got a nice goal. Nice for him to come off the bench and instantly get off the mark. And it was like an instinctive finish. Reinders basically drills a shot and he just sticks his foot out to redirect it. Kind of like a Giroud finish.
It was, yeah. It was very nice. I mean, what I liked about Morata was he wanted to win. You saw it after his goal, no celebration, grab the ball, get a yellow card trying to win the ball back, or grab the ball back. He had
Never
the
a yellow
offside
card.
goal. He won the penalty immediately that was overturned. Like Morata, the moment he came on, was ready to go. He said, "Okay, I'm going to do what I can to get level at the very least." Like
It was a nice change of pace.
it was a very nice change of pace. Yeah, I was very happy with him going into the signing. I wasn't too hyped on him. I was like, whatever. He's like Giroud, maybe a little faster, maybe not as prolific in goal, but like that's about it. But yeah, I liked what I saw. I mean, it was only 20, 30 minutes or whatever, but definitely better than his performance against Monza. So happy with that.
Yeah.
And then Okafor. Okafor is the most criminally disrespected player on our team. Like, there's no reason he should be the third choice striker. Why is Jovic I mean, we know why Jovic is starting because he had the full preseason, but I wanted it all last season with Okafor. I said he should be the starting striker over Giroud. He was third choice. The same thing again yesterday or Saturday.
He's not even the starter for his national team,
which
There's
is
something that we don't see.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He's so good. So he needs to get more game time.
I do agree, though. It is crazy that he doesn't start for either. But
I think
maybe he's a jokester in practice.
The Switzerland coach said when he did his press conference before the European Championship, he basically had a pop at us and said that Okafor's not been playing enough minutes and he's arriving in not very good shape, which was strange because he then benched him for the entire tournament. That's not getting enough minutes. But also Switzerland play a 3-4-2-1, so I guess he can't really play in either of the attacking midfielder slots, and they play Mbolo up front, who has been their starter for quite a while.
Right.
But yeah, better form and he should get in there. Or Switzerland sack their coach, whatever happens first. He looks a bit like Lord Farquaad, so don't trust anything he says at face value. Okafor, right? All of last season, I had in my head that Okafor was like 5'10". He's 6'1", and he looks really. I don't know what it is. He looks a lot bigger now. I've got that in my head, and that all my doubts that I had about he might be too small to play that striker role. He's not physical enough. He ain't going to win any headers. That kind of thing. It's all out the window now. This guy's a tank.
That's funny.
And
I thought he was short as well.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, I think it's because he got a few games on the left, and he's showing that silky dribbling and all that. And I remember when he sat Kalulu down for that Salzburg goal, thinking, he's a nippy little player. He's not little at all. He's big. He's big, and I think he absolutely should be above Jovic in the pecking order, who is incredibly limited in comparison. That cross. And obviously, you two Yanks can do your little parade here, because it was Musa who crossed the ball, just to counterbalance the Pulisic stinker. He crossed the ball. It was a little bit behind him, and that first time volley lashed it past Milinkovic-Savic. Now, it did go a little bit down the middle of the goal. I'm not really sure how it went in, but a first-time shot caught him by surprise. Incredible technique, and he just continues this habit of scoring massive goals for us. Like last season, he scored 5 goals off the bench, which led to points. He's now scored 6 of his 7 Serie A goals for us off the bench. Super sub, but I want him to be a super starter, whenever Morata can't play. And we know he can be a backup left winger. Like maybe his role is an indication of actually where Fonseca sees the depth chart. Maybe he thinks actually Salamakers is the backup winger on both sides, and Okafor's going to play down the middle. I certainly hope so, because I'm fed up of seeing Jovic start games. That can't happen in any big game.
I do want to say 2 things. I called out Pulisic that he's not good down the middle, and 2, the only person I want to do a parade in front of is Steph, because he talks shit about Musa all the time. So
I do as well, to be fair.
I was hyped when I saw that he got the assist. I don't think he got one all season last year, so
I don't know if that's true. Maybe he did, but I can't remember either. So I feel like he had to, right?
He ended up playing on the right again. Did anyone notice that he was effectively playing as a right winger again? You just kept winding up.
He just does what he wants, man.
So, yeah.
As long as he gets assists, who cares, right?
So what I take from it is maybe Pioli was right. Nah, it was a good assist and a lovely finish.
2 assists last season, Manny.
Did he?
In the league.
Short-term memory loss.
I don't recall any of them.
He did have 2. You're right.
That's what FotMob says. I don't know.
No, fair enough. And that was it. And do you know what? We actually had a chance to win it. We had a chance to win it, a cross that went all the way to Teo Hernandez on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
I saw it light up, man. I just saw that goal going in, and he hit it cleanly, and it was rising up, and I thought, oh my God, that's going to burst the net. It seemed to happen in slow motion, and then it ended up going quite far wide. But yeah, that would have been incredible. However, we had to make do with the 2-2 draw, and we can just chalk it off as one of those where there was positives and there was negatives to take. You've got to, as Maddie said, get the heebie-jeebies out of the way in week 1. Hopefully, away against Parma next week. It's another, shall we say, accessible game on paper for getting 3 points to properly kick off the season. Let's do tops and flops. Flop, it's got to be Chow, right? Is there any argument on that?
I think that's
for all the reasons we've said. You know what?
He's back, so every flop of the game is Salamakers now, no matter what. It's gone from Giroud to Salamakers, right? Listen, I remember what I did 2 years ago, and I'm going to continue to do it this year, okay?
Yeah, respect, and you could probably justify it. I don't think you're going to get too much hate in the comments for that. Top for me was Mike Maignan. He kept us in it. Don't think he's at fault for either of the goals. I think you can easily point to one of the substitutes as well, which I'm hoping you guys are going to do. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Mike because his form was criticised last season, and I think he was a leader out there.
Yeah, Mike was great. I'll give it to Morata. Like I said, didn't think he was going to have a whole lot of goals this season. Obviously scored a very crucial one. Very active, tried to win a penalty, scored an offside goal. Like he did everything we needed from a guy off the bench when you're 2-0 down. So he gets my man of the match.
And that's funny. I was going to pick Okafor because he scored the winning goal, right?
No, it wasn't a winner.
Goal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was like, what?
It felt like it.
It definitely felt like
it.
But
yeah.
He saved us.
No.
So.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like and something else I noticed when we scored that equalising goal is that Okafor obviously did his little celebration. He did like a, what are you doing? Sort of like a shrug and like a calm down type thing. It was a bit all over the place.
At the screen.
But while he was doing that, he ran over to the sort of towards the corner to do that. Fair enough. You just scored a big goal. Take your praise. Everyone else had fucked off back to the halfway line. Like, come on, we've got 3 minutes here. We can win this. And that was my thought as well. Like, bloody hell, we've equalised with enough time to at least get 1 or 2 more chances. And I think that was good. Like the mentality side of the team, we had quite a few comebacks last season. I don't want us to be in a position where we need them, but at least that spirit's still there. And they always believe right until the end that they can get something. Let's move on to the Parma game then on Saturday. I think our first 3 games of the season are Saturday at the same time, which is, it is what
I think this one's at 12:30.
Yeah, which is something new for Serie A in the US. I don't know the time for
I
you.
love it. It's right in the middle of nap time.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this, Ollie, but there were 2 games yesterday that started at 12:30 instead of 12:45 like they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So 15 minutes earlier makes 0 difference in my life, but kind of cool. Also, this will be the first ever Serie A match shown on live American television.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Or at least on CBS. I don't know if it's
Inter was on this weekend on cable,
but on CBS.
I don't know what Inter was on, but it was on cable.
They were talking about it in the studio. They said, "Oh, it'll be the first one on cable," and I was like, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool."
Maybe the first Milan game."
No, I think it was just
definitely
the first
Serie A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they picked this game though. To be honest with you,
there was a bit of a late scramble for the rights, like all around the world, it seems, and I think there's some countries that
have it.
Yeah, which is really, really bad.
Yeah.
TNT Sports over here kind of pulled the wool over everyone's eyes by saying that they renewed the rights, and they have. But what they failed to disclose in their celebratory tweet is that there's only 2 games per weekend going to be shown. So, it's potluck whether we get selected. I think most weekends we will, because we'll draw big numbers along with Inter and Juve. But this weekend we weren't. So everybody had to watch the game over on One Football. Props to One Football for picking up the rights. They showed all of the remaining games for free, which is remarkable. But because it was so last minute, I think they're now working on putting together a subscription package. For example, you had to pay $4.99 for the games that were on TNT.
I know.
So you had to pay $4.99 for 2 games, or free for the rest of the games.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's a few big nations that don't have package at all. Like I know India doesn't have any TV rights to right now, so they had to There was some website. It was similar to OneFootball, but it was the Indian version of it that basically just showed some streams for everyone. But I
Isn't
mean,
it ironic that there's an anti-piracy thing right before the game started, and yet no one has rights to the league?
yeah, you would think
Yeah.
like in India with a market of 1.5 billion people or however many people are there now, it's like you would want to close that one down pretty quick, right? That's a huge market, but Serie A does Serie A things. So
Yeah, and I think that like it will be easy to blame Serie A, and they're always partly to blame for this because the way they've handled TV rights, as we know, has not been good. But broadcasters have got to pick it up. Like by the sounds of it, a lot of these, TNT included, they just waited right until the end. You know, they were like, "Oh, not raising our bid. That's our offer." And Serie A are like, "Come on, you know, can we get a little bit more?" And then eventually they come to some kind of agreement right at the end. But it's always the fans who suffer. Like I gather from what Isaac was saying, he basically signed up for like a Norwegian VPN, so he was going to be able to watch the game normally. And then Swedish TV announced the day before the first games that they'd renewed the rights. So whole thing has been a scramble and an organisational clusterfuck. But this is what happens when you follow this league. Anyway, Parma, back in Serie A. Nice to see them back. Obviously, they're one of like I don't say powerhouse. Like they're not one of the big, not one of the big few. But it is good to have them back in the top flight. Got promoted from Serie B last season, playing some good football. Their first game of the season was against Fiorentina at home. So they're playing back-to-back home games to begin the season. They were heading for a win through Dennis Mann's goal until Biragi equalised with 15 minutes to go. In terms of business that they've done this summer, they signed Zion Suzuki, new starting goalkeeper from Belgium. Then the rest is loans and free transfers, and there's nobody really. Valeri we were linked with at one point as a left back, but he never really kicked on. Matteo Cancelleri from Lazio. But yeah, it's been mostly sales from them. They've lost 5 or 6 players. I picked them in predictions to go down. Their performance against Fiorentina was pretty good, but I am predicting that we get our first win in this particular game. Thoughts?
I think that's a great prediction.
Yeah. I would think we're going to get it. I mean, they didn't have the best. Go ahead.
No. As long as we make the correct lineup changes, I don't think Jovic should start or Salamakers. And then, we should be able to get away with the win as long as we're not scoring any own goals.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Also, didn't David De Gea get signed by Fiorentina and he didn't even play?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a little bit too soon for him, but he should have been that.
Punishing him for that shirt that he wore during his signature.
Oh, he was on the bench.
What shirt did he have?
Did you not see it? The flame shirt. It looked like Guy Fieri.
Oh, yeah, the Flavor Town. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very.
It looked like it being like elementary school, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Piss funny.
I had it in blue flames. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So funny. I think we did that. But yeah, it's about
that shirt was probably like $400, by the way.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's probably like Prada or some dumb shit. Yeah, I think Morata will probably start. I think we might even see Pavlovic. We should see Reinders from the start, and we should see Teo, even if he's not fit. Play him from the start.
I don't know why. I mean, Teo unfit is better than Salamakers 100% fit. So,
yeah,
at left back, absolutely. In fact, in any capacity,
in goal, anywhere on the field.
Wherever you want to play him. I think there will be changes for this. I don't think Fofana will start. I think it'll be a bit soon for him. He needs more than just a few days of work with the team, and obviously he hadn't been training with Monaco either. So I'd be tempted to say we might not see him start until maybe towards the end of the month. Really, that's me being conservative and knowing how head coaches work. But I think it'd be Maignan in goal. Do we think Emerson comes in? I'm not sure he does. I want to say yes,
maybe
I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think he'll get minutes, but I don't think he'll start. I would like to see him start. When did he arrive to training? Did he get half a week?
I think a week and a half ago.
Yeah, I think he's had about 7 days, roughly.
Yeah. I mean, 14 days. Maybe they do it just to try him out and see. I mean, there were talks of Teo being the starting captain this season anyway. So,
yeah,
bench the captain for a new signing immediately.
We did win the Scudetto.
yeah.
give it a couple weeks before you bench him.
Jumping into his grave.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Like, I don't know. I could see both. I could see them alternating starts for a little bit just to see how he does. And I feel like this is a safe game to try a new player. So
I'd like to see it. I want us to see what we've got with him, but I don't think he will. I don't think he'll change Calabria. I don't even think he's going to change centre back either. I want to see Pavlovic come in with Tomori, but be honest, do you see it? I don't. I think he's going to stick with Chow.
I think he might. I don't know. He's quick to
it
make
could be
those
Gabia.
changes. Yeah, it could be. Maybe it's Kalulu. Give him that last chance. He did take the 5, so.
Yeah, I mean, he was totally excluded from the squad along with Pobega and Adley for Saturday's game, which was pretty harsh. That's pretty brutal. But anyway, yeah, Teo has to start. That's the difference because there is no natural deputy, at least while ever Jimenez is.
And I saw Como is now in for Terracciano, so we literally won't have anyone if that goes through.
Oh, please.
I know. I hope so.
I mean, oh no.
Bummer.
Reinders will start. I'm almost certain
so.
of that. And I think he'll be next to Benacer. I don't think Fofana will start. I think he'll need a bit more time. And you take RLC out of the double pivot. I actually think he was better than Benacer on Saturday, and he should have had an assist with a lovely through ball. But it doesn't mean either of them were any good. It didn't work. There was no control there, really. Then I think the attack stays the same, barring up front with Morata coming in for Jovic. I think he sticks with that trident. Something that gives me a little bit of hope as well. Torino's stuck, as it turns out, with that 3 at the back system that they had under Juric that we struggled with. Parma, they tried to play good football, which I respect them for, but it does leave them a little bit more open. Fiorentina had more shots than them and over 60% possession, and they nearly doubled their passes and stuff. So, they were still on the back foot. And they play a 4-2-3-1. So we'll match up with them system-wise, and I think player for player, we will win enough of those duels to win the game. The player that I think is probably their main talent is Adrian Bernabe. Plays attacking midfielder, 23-year-old. He was part of Man City's academy. We were actually linked with him when they were in Serie B because he just stood out as being way too good for the level. And then Dennis Mann on the right, who scored their only goal. Predictions?
So you're telling me we're playing a newly promoted side. We should get 60% possession at least and have enormous shots on target? Sorry, that's my normal alarm. I was going to turn it off, but I was like, no, forget it. Okay, we're not winning this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Another 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
As Como got in the last game. No, I think we win. And I think it's a bit more contained. I don't think Fonseca will be happy with the 2-2 in the first game. I think we will take less risks, and I think we'll play for moments. And I think we'll win 2-0.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to pick Leao and Pulisic to score, right their wrongs from the first week and find goals.
Honestly, I think if Morata starts, we win.
Yeah, it really could be that simple because you could see the link-up play clicking right from minute one.
Jovic, not to be disrespectful, but he played so lazy.
Yeah.
He looked like Giroud without scoring.
He looked worse than Giroud.
Yeah, without scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
At least Giroud would somehow score 3 goals.
Find the ball. Jovic was just non-existent. He was a waste.
Not even there. Yeah. I think Morata will score. I think he'll make it 2-2.
I hope so.
And start obviously as part of that.
If only he was wearing the 9.
No, we don't want him to win 9. That number is fucking cursed, man.
Yeah, give it Jovic. That's exactly why we've done it.
We talk about curses, but then you look at the 9s. It's like, well, that's because we gave it to Jovic, Adriano. Like, who else had it? Torres. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, people.
Who had it last?
Giroud had it.
Oh, and he did wonderful last season.
Yeah, they said the curse is broken, and then we said, hey, let's bring that shit back. Jovic, here you go. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, 2-0.
Yeah, Maddie, same.
Yeah. I'll go 3-1.
3-1. I know I say this every season, like before every game, but please just a clean sheet. Like, I'm so sick of us being bad defensively. We're letting 69 goals across all competitions last season, and we've started on a pace to do worse than that. You know, like we've let in 2 in our first game. We got to start dialing that down a little bit. Defense wins championships. Let's do a couple of questions and then wrap up. Since there's not a lot of transfer stuff out there. Samadžić, as it turns out, has gone to Atalanta. He'll be their Koopmeiners replacement, though, so it's not as big a blow. Ibra said that we are interested in Manu Kone from Borussia Mönchengladbach, but it seems like we need 3 sales to make that happen, both because of the squad list regulations and to get some funds in. So we'll see if anything moves on the Benacer Saudi front, but Adli and Pobega are absolutely not in the plans, it seems. Heavenly13 asks, or rather says, I'd rather have Pulisic as the right winger and Chukwueze as a sub. Question is, do you see Pulisic being benched this season?
I think if Pulisic plays down the middle, he'll get benched. I think if he plays on the right wing, he stays.
If we move him to right wing, who's going to play 10? I don't need to see Loftus-Cheek as a 10 ever again. I'm over that experiment. So if we're going to switch to a flat 4-3-3, then fine,
Okafor.
move him. But actually, I wouldn't mind Okafor there. That'd actually be kind of fire, Okafor. But I like that actually. Okafor.
He came on in that. He came on in that role against Newcastle away, didn't he? You know, in that Champions League, and he set up Chukwueze for the winning goal.
Yeah. I do think there's going to be a lot more Chukwueze starts than Pulisic starts this time around, just because preseason he had Chukwueze from day one. He had Pulisic in the final preseason game, which, to be fair, he had a goal and assist, and he dominated. So, we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I think you're going to see more Chukwueze than last season. And I don't think it's a knock on Pulisic as much as I think it's just Fonseca's seen Chukwueze and knows that he is capable.
I think at the beginning of the season, we might see that more. But as a team gets settled, I bet Pulisic takes his spot back because, like, at the end of the day, how long is Chukwueze going to have to make an impression in league play?
Not as much as you think.
Yeah, preseason's different.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it is, and he was good in preseason, was Chukwueze, but I think everybody was of the same train of thought. Yeah, exactly. Like, let's wait and see. He's got to do it in competitive action, and in game one, he certainly didn't do it. You know, he was not good at all. Granted, none of the forwards really clicked, and there wasn't an awful lot of help from anybody. But if that was his audition to be like, yes, I'm your starting right winger, and Pulisic to be like, yes, I can play as number 10, I don't think it went particularly well. Obviously, you got to give it time. We're going to be coming up against opponents that are going to run a lot more than what we saw in pre-season. We're going to be pressed. We're going to come up against deep blocks as well. And I think we just have to see how it works. But at the moment, I still think Pulisic is way ahead of Chukwueze if it comes to one of the two starting on the right. You know, you've got to show us something if you Chukwueze, whereas Pulisic has got a career best season under his belt last season. So he's got the credit in the bank at the moment. Islam Zoghaib, might have butchered that, asks, is it just me, or does anyone feel like Teo isn't as happy at Milan as he was a couple of years ago? Ever since Castillejo and Brahim left, he seems distant and isn't as active part of the group. And I think it's affecting his motivation. A bit of therapist stuff there, bit of psychological analysis.
I don't want to sound rude, but that seems like fanfic to me. I mean, I don't know how you're seeing that. Like, where do you come up with that? I don't know, because we don't see them outside of work, you know? So it's like
for 90 minutes.
I don't know what they're doing in their spare time. I don't know if he's being a part of the group. Like, he started on the bench. That doesn't mean he's not friends with everyone, you know?
Who is this? I wasn't listening.
Teo. He's saying Teo's not like a part of the group
He has
anymore.
A family now, man.
That's true. He does have 2 kids. He might just be tired.
Yeah, like
I just decided to search Teo Hernandez on our Getty image library that we have, and the first 2 pictures are of him smiling. So there you go. He must be miserable as fuck. Yeah,
He looked
I don't
irritated
think.
when the second goal went in, but I don't think that's
Yeah.
because he hates his team. I think he's irritated
Just
they
cares.
conceded.
I think his
Because he
braids might be a
cares.
little too tight.
Yeah, that needs to get in the
Yeah,
bin.
I don't
actually.
like those. He really should just go back to the bleached hair, the pink hair, or whatever.
While we're on the gossip section of the podcast, what do you think about Morata basically admitting that we broke up his marriage? Saying
Yeah.
he said his wife, or now ex-wife, I guess, didn't want to move again from Spain. So he was like, "I'm gonna go there," and she was like, "Well, I'm not." So that's us done.
Oh,
And he
he got
said that in an
divorced?
interview. Yeah, they got a divorce and they've got 4 kids
They
together.
just posted a
Honestly,
picture in Milan jerseys like 4
Mm.
weeks ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not actually laughing about it. It's not a laughing matter. Obviously, it's not good, and that's not really what you want from someone
Did they
who's
say they got
arriving.
a
Like they're
divorce or that they were separating? 'Cause
separating.
Yeah, maybe she comes back. Maybe they're just
That's
'cause
crazy.
every photo I've ever seen of them, they look so happy, like the
Yeah,
happiest
Photos are
family.
not real.
I know, it's especially
Just look
Instagram.
at Teo. He is depressed, but he's smiling in every photo.
Someone's AI generated that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's weird because like she's from Italy, so
Mm.
I feel like it's not like
Dude,
very
he
smooth,
changes
but-
teams every 2 years. I'd be sick of that shit too.
I mean, fair, yeah. But we're his last
England,
two teams
Spain,
were
England, Spain,
both in
Italy,
Madrid, weren't they?
Spain, England.
Yeah, Atletico, right? Chelsea.
Oh, yeah, the
But
Chelsea part.
she's lived in some good places, you know.
Well,
I
and
don't know why
Chelsea was
she's
half a
complaining.
season.
I would
I don't think
kill to
she
live in
even
any of those places.
stayed. Right? Like, didn't she just
Also-
stay in Turin when he was in Italy or
Also,
in England?
It's not
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
live in like the shitty parts of these cities. You're making
Mm.
millions of dollars.
Yeah.
There's
It
no
is
good part of London, brother. The streets
Facts.
aren't safe out here, man.
Yeah, England's kind of crazy right now, so maybe you're right.
No, it's all right. It's calmed down again now. There'd have been riots if we'd lost on Saturday. I'll tell you that. What was I say? Oh yeah, the Beckham documentary that was on Netflix. Obviously,
Yeah.
Posh Spice and Victoria Beckham and David were doing a little thing about when he joined LA Galaxy and then he decided, no, I want to try and get back in the England team. So then Milan came in with a loan offer and she was saying how she flipped shit at the time. Like they just moved their entire life out to LA. Then he
Yeah.
decided he wanted to go back to Europe on a loan deal because he had this like vendetta mission against those who criticized him in an England shirt. So it puts more of a strain on things, than I think we realize. But that's way above our station to talk about.
LA to Milan is different than Madrid to Milan.
Yeah, facts.
I think Madrid to Milan's like a 45-minute flight, probably, right?
Yeah,
maybe
not a 15-hour flight. 24-hour flight
with U.S. Customs. Fuck that.
Yeah, right. Those prices out of LA, man, insane. Even for the
LA traffic as well.
Yeah.
Final question, Christian Espinoza. What do we have to do to convince Milan to sign Hummels? What do we personally have to do? I guess we've got to get a flight over to like Casa Milan and take someone hostage or something. But
we got to sell 3 players before we're allowed to sign another. So
yeah, there's that.
I mean, you can blame AJ. He took like a selfie with Ibra, like 45 feet behind him. He could have said something then.
Baresi, you met Baresi. You could have said, "Go sign Hummels,"
and he'd been like, "Yeah, I don't do anything."
He'd be like, "Cheers."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Rushed. No, Hummels, interesting one. Look, do I think that our centre back department is lacking in like a very composed leader type figure who's been there, been to Champions League final and stuff like that? Yeah, you can always add someone like that in there. I think when Kier came, we weren't expecting much from him, but he, at least before he started getting loads of injuries, he was very impactful with us. However, we've got too many centre backs. Like I think to bring one in, we're going to have to see 1 or 2 leave, and we've still got the squad registration issue. I think centre back wise, even if Kalulu leaves, we're just going to stick with what we've got. There's not like Simic knocking on the door anymore either, where you might say no, we're blocking him off. But keep an eye on Andre Kubis because he's back now. He made his first appearance in over 400 days for the Futuro, and he was talked about before his knee injury as being very, very ready and like the one who was on the verge of making the jump. So I don't know, maybe he is in and around. But yeah, I like Hummels. I like him. I think he'd be good for the eye candy factor as well. He's not a bad looking bloke. So you could throw him into the mix and all of a sudden we've got the best looking team in Serie A.
This
that's
is
about
a
it.
15-year-old boy you're talking about?
Hummels is not 15.
Oh, I think you were
Hummels-
talking about Kubis.
No. Kubis is now like 20, I think. But anyway,
Jeez.
yeah. That's it. That's the insight I have on it. We'll wrap it up here. We've done an hour. Good stuff. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. Join me. Find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ, cheers.
Yep. You can join me on the podcast once a week. That's where you'll find me. And Madison, thanks for returning. Thanks for coming back from the dead.
I'll be back next week. As long as you guys don't hate on me too much in the podcast or in the comments. So I'm joking. If you hate on me, I'll
that'll make you more. Yeah, more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll be back later in the week with bonus on Yusuf Fofana, and obviously next week with another main podcast episode.
Gol! Ancora Teo! È una meraviglia! Il gol di Teo Hernandez da un'area all'altra! È una meraviglia! Senti il mio cuore!